Us to the Democratic candidates hoping to clinch their party's nomination. You've seen his conversations with the leading Democratic contenders, Prince George's County Executive Angela Alsobrooks and Congressman David Trone. Well, tonight, meet Juan Dominguez. He's a father, veteran, and former tech executive hoping to make history.
We appreciate you being here, and thank you so much for your time. So let's get started with the obvious question. Campaigning for the U.S. Senate seat that will be made available has been going on for months now. Records show that you're one of the last people to formally get into the race. I think the obvious question is, what took you so long?
Well, you know, it's a family decision at the end of the day, and once we felt that, yes, this is what I was meant to do at this time in my life, we jumped in formally and announced our campaign officially on September 6th.
The mobile campaign headquarters.
The mobile campaign headquarters. Come on in.
And since then, the former Army officer who led a platoon in Desert Storm and tech executive has been getting the word out about his Senate campaign in this decked-out van, his face and shining grin plastered on the side.
You have a strong military background, strong business background. How do you think those things play in your favor when you're trying to court votes for the Democratic nomination?
I think if you look at three things, military service, private sector, and a little bit of public sector, there's no other candidate in this race that captures all three.
How are you going to be able to stand out in a race where a lot of the critical endorsements have already been courted? 77%
of Americans, including Marylanders, don't trust their elected officials, don't trust people that have been in government for a long time. I dare say that's the disadvantage that my opponents have, and the folks that are endorsing them come from the same ilk.
One of the top issues people talk about often is the economy. Right now, inflation is crushing family budgets right now. What ideas do you have to help families who are struggling to get food on the table?
We're going to have to demand that those that profit off of the backs of those people pay their fair share. We need to institute a wealth tax in this country that enables us to put money back in people's pockets. We need to institute a living wage. We have to fight for $30 an hour for every working class American, and we have to provide health care for all, cradle to grave.
There will be a lot of people that would push back against that idea of $30 an hour. That's incredibly high for some businesses, especially mom and pop shops. What do you say to them?
To small businesses, I would say we've got you covered, because we can create a tax rebate or a tax credit for every person that they hire at the minimum wage. We can cover the additional $15 an hour by taxing the ultra-rich in this country.
How do you reach across the aisle to attract those moderate Republicans that could potentially back something like this?
It's a great question. I think in year one, we try to go through the usual process and try to get the legislation passed with 60 votes. And I think in year two, once we see that the vested interests have no interest in moving this type of legislation forward, we win the House and we win the Senate, and we do it through budget reconciliation.
And while a lot of attention has been focused on Prince George's County Executive Angela Alsobrooks and the history she could make as the third black woman elected to the U.S. Senate, Dominguez says his run is also historic.
There's never been a Latino elected to any congressional seat in the Maryland congressional delegation. I think it's important that we look at that as well. We are over 24% of the voting bloc in some places, yet we don't have one congressional seat that a Latino is sitting in that seat.
So obviously you would want to make that history with this election.
I not only want to help make history there, but I want to represent all the people that we talked about today.
Our Larry Miller will be reporting from Maryland's campaign trail with the candidates. You can see more of his reports on our website. They're posted right now at WUSA9.com.